Last time on Lawful Stupid.
We prepared for war.
Battle. As it were.
Well, yeah, we oh, go ahead.
Well, you came up with a great plan.
I don't know about that.
Did you already forget about that?
No, I just don't know. But I just don't know if it's so great. Every time I think I do a good thing, it's not. So we'll see.
And then there's also a very tender moment with Atlas and Ilaria.
Yeah, Ray of Sunshine, I thought, I can get her out of this field right now with Findle's help. I was wrong. He was just going to blast her into oblivion.
Yeah. I was so excited for Shane, who picked up on it. Because Findle, of course, is this powerful wizard, right? Remove curse? Got it. And Shane picks up, wait. Probably not the best, like...
You didn't think it'd be that easy, did you?
Yeah.
He goes,
we have to go to the underworld.
Like
we have to go through the portal.
Yeah, exactly. You guys ruined the surprise for my story arc. I was going to have Findle surprise, remove curse, and be like, I helped you out! Boop! And you're like, no, now you gotta go through... Anyway. Sorry, what? We're recapping?
It would make sense canonically.
Yeah, so anyways, after Shane and made all his, Kristoff, told his plans, they kind of changed up some things, and we are going to be the small team that sort of goes around the backside while the architects build this wall to separate the demons. An alley is what I'm thinking. So 2 walls separate. The Tor will go tear through. The volley in the form of arcane. What is it?
The arcane cannons are going to be what it causes the initial dispersion, and they'll follow up with additional attacks if they're going to come too far or get beyond the walls. But primarily, then the remaining ranged attackers, so whether it be spellcasters or hunters, archer kind of situation, or whatever ranged guys are going to be wailing on the guys that are on either side of the wall, while the Tor go right down the middle of this alleyway to clear a path for the portal team to come in and construct a portal to get guys in from the rear directly to the heart of the conflict. Meanwhile, we go around the back, go through the wall, platform 9 3/4 thanks to Findle, and execute the mission.
Yeah. Sounds good. And Kristoff got a note, had a love triangle.
Love triangle.
And some ominous news.
Everybody loves Kristoff. This fall in CBS. I don't know what show that channel that airs on.
Maybe it's a love square.
That's true. Rowan is involved.
It is a love dodecahedron at this point.
There's so much love.
Yeah. Lawful too. We're about the love. Are you guys...
We promised romance and we finally delivered.
That's true. Are you guys ready?
Yes.
Super ready. Let's do this.
So, you can see from where you're standing on the front line. You're at the forest edge, and you boys are standing next to Findle, and you're standing next to some members of the Tor who have these wicked pieces of armor. They are twisted and scuffed and scarred and dented, and they so far have been silent. The Tor that are with you, they haven't had much to say so far. Not that there has been a ton of time for conversation, but you can hear murmuring throughout the front line as they're waiting. And Findle is looking across the field, and you kind of follow his gaze, and you see these monsters lined up in formation outside the city wall, ready to repel your attack. And as you kind of lean forward and look down the line, you can see varying pieces of the guilds. And more importantly, when you look behind you, you can see the blue in the ranks of the Arcanists being led by Frost. And Frost, Kristoff, as you look back, Frost kind of gives you a nod. And
I return the nod.
you, Atlas, you're wearing your red cape. So you are standing out, quite literally standing out compared to this hodgepodge group. The Tor not really having any real uniform, and then you guys as a unit just kind of being different. And walking past you, you see a familiar face, and that is the Dro, John. And he sees the cape, and he says, Atlas.
John, and I'll give him that forearm slap that we last left with.
Good words.
And he returns the handshake or forearm shake and says, why am I not surprised? You're here on the front line.
It's the only place to be for battle.
And he says, I knew you would make an excellent doer of good, slayer of monsters. You did great in your test. I knew you would be on for great things.
I appreciate that very much, John.
And Ilaria kind of whispers in your ear when he says that, and she says, are you going to tell him you only passed because of me?
I do not respond to her at this time.
And John says, well, I'm glad I saw you, and I hope to see you after. Good luck out there.
We don't need luck. We've got each other.
Of course we do, Atlas. And he nods and continues on down the line. And you hear the murmuring kind of die down. And your ears are filled with the roar of war horns. And you boys are probably, and I say this confidently, I think, not warriors, right? So when these war horns go off, it's almost like a delay for you, right? The rest of the line moves forward, and it's almost like people behind you start kind of nudging you guys to go forward. And Findle is charging forward, and so you guys are now a pace or two behind Findle, and your ears are filled with the footsteps, the pounding of sheer numbers of Goliaths and dwarfs and elves and humans. And all of these mortal races are heading towards these monsters from another world. And it's almost comforting, the rumbling. It's a predictable, soothing, sensory effect until it's interrupted with the first barrages of arcane blasts. And you
Give him hell, Avia!
see parts everywhere. Dirt and armor and swords. And in fact, you guys are running, and one of the troops to the left of you is impaled by a sword that flew from a dismembered monster. And you feel this hope as you're charging forward, as you watch the front lines of these monsters begin to crumble, until you hear the crackling followed by an explosion, and then another one, and then another one, and you begin to see explosions happening in your lines. You're seeing these not black, you're seeing the absence of a light streak across, arcing down into your battalions, exploding and sending troops through the air and vaporizing some as they hit. And then both the lines collapse, and it is just the sound of war. Metal on monster, monster on metal. You can hear magic being thrown from both sides. You can hear the sound of arrows filling the sky and landing on these monsters and the wall and the ground. What do you boys want to do? Both the lines have just met, and you guys are in the front.
I very specifically thought this was not the plan.
I pull out Ilaria.
It's like we should be a little bit back.
We should be like on the other side of this. We should be way over there.
I thought we were supposed to not do this at all and go all the way around. But we have to fight, so my weapon's out right now.
Yeah, also my whip is on.
What is close to me? Is there anything in the immediate threats?
You big monster.
I want to attack him. He will get the first lick of this blade.
Roll me an attack.
Cue cool music. What's 22? That'll do.
You have programs for this.
It's 22? Yeah, that connects.
Alright, I'm going to go ahead and roll this. That is an 8 for the first attack. And go roll my second attack. I'm sure that one's not going to hit. That's only 12.
That one does not hit. Why don't you paint me your word picture of how you would want to attack?
So I imagine if I'm just going to step up and I'm going to be in front of the boys, sort of face to face, and I'm more confident, I feel like, with Ilaria, especially after having talked to her about what's going to happen. And I just know that as soon as I take these swings, that my boys are going to follow up, and this one's going to crumple, and we're going to move on with the mission. So pull sword out. I'm going to slice the Achilles or at the legs like I've been doing, try to take it down to our level.
Yep. That one hits, right? And so when you slice the Achilles, it crumbles, and you misjudged how well it was going to stand, and you actually swing a little above and to the right? So it crumples down onto a knee, and you weren't expecting it to go all the way down to a knee and bend that far down. Boys behind Alice, is there anything you would like to do?
I'd like to reach around, whip crack.
And as Atlas brings that blade down, your whip smacks this thing in the chest, making it stagger backwards, and you can see the faint whispers of your magic wrapping around it. Rowan, is there anything you would like to do?
I want to take a shot with my new pistol.
Go ahead and roll me 2 attacks, because you have 2.
I have to roll, Dwayne.
Because you're super good.
Thank you.
What, 23 and a nat 20.
Oh, dang.
Gee, I didn't get an opportunity in that 20.
Go ahead and roll. I honestly forgot. I got into the narrative.
No, it's cool. No, I'm taking it.
And so this whip hits, and it kind of arcs backwards as it's regaining its footing to step forward. You release this blast from your arcane focus that is a fucking flintlock pistol. And normally when you do Eldritch Blast, you see 2 spirals of magic, and this time you see 8. And this collides with that monster's chest and explodes and blasts it backwards, taking several more with it. And it's at that moment, Christoph, you feel it in the air. The static. of the arcane torrent. And in front of you boys, 10
Everybody get
feet
down!
apart, I actually love this, 10 feet apart, you see these pillars form from the front line back to the walls on the ground. And then this blue energy roars up, vaporizing monsters in its path. And just as quickly as they were established, as the energy rose up, they fortified themselves as glowing walls. And in the middle of these walls, you can hear it, Kristoff. The crackling of energy. And you can feel the heat of it before it even comes. And I think as you yell, get down, right? I think you kind of like crouch down, right? Like, and so as you're like getting back up, being like, all right, and you feel it, but it happens so fast, like all those senses, you can't warn everybody, and the monsters in between that wall get roasted with this lightning between the two. And now the Tor beside you push forward, and you can see the lightning still trailing off their armor as they move to engage the monsters that manage to survive.
As these guys get roasted and destroyed by these pillar walls, I'm going to shout out, "A small gift, courtesy of the architects of your demise!"
And you look back, I think, as you take a glance back, and you can see the architects together, like concentrating, and some Tor members setting up posts, and they're further back as you guys have charged out, and those Tor members are acting as a guard. But what you notice, more importantly, Kristoff, is you can see that of this group of architects, that Avia is in the center of them. And she does not have her eyes open. She almost has her hands together. And when you look, like, you don't even have your arcane torrent vision really engaged, but you can see it. Like, you can just tell that there's a lot of power going on there. And you guys charge through between these two walls. This new gap between the two walls, meeting the monsters head on. What do you boys want to do?
We peel off with Findle, we go around the side.
As they're engaging, Findle gives a shout to the Tor and says, "Make way!" And the Tor respond by doubling up. It's almost like they've trained for this their entire lives. They kick off of whoever they're fighting, and they double up, and they're able to like peel open this line, and Findle and you three and a few of the Architect Guild, followed by a few more Tor members, charge forward for the wall. And as you get closer, just like last time, it looks precarious and not like a great idea until Findle passes through. And I assume you all follow.
Yep.
Platform 9 3/4.
Head on.
On the other end of the wall, Oxbane is all but leveled. Most buildings are destroyed. You can see more, like, the few standing buildings, because it is flat land. The castle is maybe a quarter of what it was. The lead church, while damaged, is one of the more structurally sound looking buildings. And more importantly, and most notably, Findle's tower remains almost untouched. And Findle, as you guys go through, he looks around and he says, well, on the bright side, I still have a home.
I haven't for a very long time. I mean, that's what I'm telling you.
And you guys charge through. And there's monsters that you guys have to fight your way through to get to the castle, but most of them are already at the perimeter of the walls trying to provide assistance to the majority of the force that is being attacked. And one thing you notice as you guys are making a beeline for the castle, you're seeing like these group of these monsters, and they're kneeled and their swords are inserted into the ground. And in the center of these monsters, you can't really make out the shape of what it is because your vision's obscured, but as you're eyeing it, you see the like absence of light arc from those like circles, and followed by that is the explosions on the other side of the wall.
Oh, I gotta take a pot shot at it.
Yeah, go ahead, roll an attack, my dude.
16?
You raise this gun up, this arcane focus, and you fire this shot over at this group, and it's probably 100 feet or so away, and your shot starts to kind of waver the closer it gets, and right as it's about to connect, you see it almost like a metal coin or a metal ball being thrown at, you see it almost like you throwing two magnets together from the opposite end, and it just bounces away from them. It just like a hard turn. You don't actually see it connect with anything. It just flies in the opposite direction. And you guys reach the castle, which, Christoph, you recall was quite luxurious.
Yes.
Was.
And now it is not. Melted gold and destroyed paintings and shattered crystals. And Findle destroys everything in your way, monster after monster, and you notice he is using his right arm. As much as he uses spells, he always uses his right arm, but you can tell he is relying on his right arm more and more and more. And you can definitely see how much he favors it when he's like this. And when you guys break through into the castle, he looks around and he says, all right, where do we go from here?
Down.
As far as we can get.
Okay. But we have to make a portal still.
Oh, I thought that was another team that was doing that.
No. We are making the portal. And he like looks at the Arcanist and the Tor that have been following you guys. That's their job. You and I, we're going to get started. Dow? And he's like says questioningly because he's never been there.
We should go secure the mouth to the entrance down so we can stop anything else that's coming up. But we should wait for that portal to be up and running until we go down when we have some more reinforcements. Because when we get down there to the doors where it gets especially bad.
And he says, that's exactly what I was thinking. And he says, show me. And he nods to the portal team who begin their work.
we lead them to the entrance down.
Right. So you guys go to the entrance, and I like to think that who's leading, Atlas, or who's leading towards the entrance?
Oh, yeah, I'm always leading.
Yeah.
And so, Atlas, when you get to the door, I think you open it to, like, show the way.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you do that, like, the first thing coming out at you is a monster. What do you do?
I imagine that if I was opening the door with my right hand and Ilaria's in my left, as soon as I see that, I'm going to grab the blade and just slice up vertically.
Do me a favor and roll me that attack roll.
That's a crit 20.
In half.
You tear this thing's face in half. You split helmet and bone and flesh into, and you hear Ilaria, yes! As blood and ichor goes everywhere. Do me a favor and roll a dexterity saving throw for me, please.
Oh, which one?
Dexterity saving throw,
Oof,
please.
Not good. That's a 7.
You get covered in all types of monster blood. You are now no longer a white orc. You are a goopy dark monster blood orc.
It's like my father would have loved me now.
Does that mean that we can see down the path and that
Yep.
it's clear now?
Well, you can see down the path, and you have dark vision.
I'm going to focus into the arcane torrent and start establishing copper tripwires.
Okay, go ahead. Explain to me what you want to do.
I want to make bits of copper wire stretching from one end of the wall to the other along this pathway down, so that were a monster to come through, it could potentially trip on the copper wire.
Okay. Do me a
It's not
favor.
like one strand of copper wire. It's like
No, I get that. That's why I'm like, I was listening to where you were going with that, because I thought for a second you were like gonna do alarm, but I don't know that you have the alarm spell. Anyways,
I don't.
do me a favor and roll an arcana check, please.
Oh, it's definitely not the alarm spell. It's just tripwires. 21.
Yeah, so you feel the stress of the arcane torrent being channeled through you, and you see the threads form, and you're building your lines. And Atlas and Rowan, you watch as Kristoff begins focusing and sweating, and like you can tell what he's doing. And you watch Findle, who is watching Kristoff do this. And Findle smiles and says to you boys, and it's almost like hard for you to hear, Shane, because you're like, or Kristoff, because you're focused. He says, "Do you think I should help?"
No, he doesn't like that. He just wants to feel very special about this. He's doing a good job, I think, unless those explode.
No, you should probably help just like a little bit. Just
Don't let him know you're doing it. Just let him
just
think
a
that he's doing it.
And Findle says, "I'm not good at subtlety." And he like puts his hand on your shoulder, and your wires form, and the stress of the torrent is off of you, and you're noticing like that you can just pull the torrent and fold it and wind it and construct it like you were messing with clay or wax of a candle. And you establish your tripwires. And I think you establish stronger and more because you were just in the zone making them. You're like, oh, I'm getting better. This is easier. And like you just start like weaving more.
And as I finish, I didn't realize what happened.
You made a giant basket.
A giant basket. Yep. It's really just it's if you've ever been to a playground, it's that weird net thing that they always have that you have to crawl up.
Yeah.
It's just that out of copper wire. So they'll never make it through.
Those things are impossible to traverse.
Exactly. They can't
It's
just
not
cut
difficult
through
terrain. It's impossible
it.
terrain.
Yeah, exactly. And
Thank you, Findle. That was a great aid.
Findle smiles and says, "You were doing great. I just gave you a little juice."
I appreciate it.
And you see Ike come through the hallway. And he says, I thought I heard your voice. And Ike is covered in blood. Covered in it, head to toe.
They're like twins.
He's coming from down?
No. He came from the hallway.
Got it, yeah.
Through the portal.
I thought he just like emerged from the shell, like, I've been here for weeks. The way is clear.
I had to eat my way
Ike
through.
the Destroyer.
Get back to the chopper. I have made you a path. No, he is covered in blood. Still no weapon.
Would you like a weapon? You can use Willow if you'd like.
And he laughs, this deep bellowing laugh, and hits you on the back real hard, like with a pat, and says, it would only slow me down. Little toothpick like that.
I slump my head down and shoulders.
And he says, thanks for getting the portal up. That was way more work getting through. And honestly, a long walk. And behind him, you see a bearded dwarf in thick metal armor with red hair.
Fucking Darden.
With the hammer.
Fucking Darden.
And he says, I'm going to attempt the worst dwarf accent I could
I'm
possibly
so excited. Please do
It's
it.
a moment of
Darren,
silence
come
for
back.
these.
He says, oh shit, this is going to be real bad. I don't have a dwarf accent. He says, what are you all sitting around here waiting for?
Not bad.
Impressed.
And Findle looks and says, well, you have the big hammer. We thought we would let you go first, Axel. And he says, I thought you'd never ask.
Yes, go ahead, buddy. And I just extend my hand. Charge on down there.
And he does.
And
I've run behind him. I want to go too.
Atlas, you idiot!
And so you see this dwarf run forward and pull the hammer.
I grab Atlas by the cape before he goes down there.
From the no, that's fine. From his back, and he charges forward, and you hear it. And followed by thud, 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 metal clank, thud. Dwarven swears, thud, thud, and then you hear the crashing of a stop. And Atlas is like charging forward, and you see Atlas kind of like get pulled, like when a dog hits the leash. And then I imagine you're thankful. And Findle says, you probably could have warned him, Kristoff.
Yeah. Well, I probably could have, but he showed up and he was very cocky, and also he has a hammer that I think belongs to us.
He's kind of a douche. And
I snap my fingers and release the copper wire back to the torn.
And you see crackling and hear pops and explosions down below, followed by lots of dwarf cursing. And Findle says, we should probably check on him. That sounded painful.
Intentional.
And Findle walks down, and Ike follows. And then you see more of the tour coming from the portals, and you see a couple hunters. And you guys have your small battalion heading into the depths of this dungeon.
I'm kind of just speaking to anybody who will listen as we go down. Okay, so basically when we arrive, there will be a large cavernous chamber. Beyond that chamber, there is just a long stone bridge, maybe 10 feet wide, so we'll have to really tunnel through there unless we have another way. Do we have any arcanists or any architects with us?
You have Fendel and one arcanist or architect that you know of. Did you mean arcanist or architect?
I meant architect.
Yeah, okay, just making sure. Yeah, because there's no arcanist here.
Well,
yeah, we're gonna have to pretty much funnel through there, unless we have abilities of flight or some means to traverse this very long gap, probably about 120 feet total in length, to when we have the door on the opposite side that must be shut with the key.
And as you're saying that, as you guys are making your way through the tunnel or through the cavern, and you hear this dwarf say, "I don't think that's going to be a problem." That got sideways on me, but
yeah,
with this hammer, I'll take him all down all by myself. And Kristoff, you and Fendel look at each other and kind of roll your eyes.
I mean, okay, great. Do that.
And Ike says, that hammer's pretty powerful. But it doesn't replace my fist, am I right, Atlas?
I battle cry and raise Ilaria, and if he runs anywhere, I'm going with him. This guy's pumped me up.
Everybody needs a life coach.
And you guys are going down staircases and going through these hallways, and you're running into monsters. And the Tor and Ike and I think Atlas are also on the front line, tearing through these things.
XP.
And the whole time, every time you say XP, Ilaria says, "Murder, get stronger, murder, get stronger." And until you guys get to the big open room that is pitch black. And you guys can obviously see, because you have dark vision, most of you, if not all of you. Fendel says, "Well, this won't do at all." And he lights up the room by sending these lights that go up into the air and kind of spread out and fill the room. This is the first time you guys actually saw what was in the room. And it's just these shadows that have nothing to have shadows with. You can see almost, and I don't know the proper name for them, and I should have looked it up prior to this episode. What, maybe Shane knows, is the name of the effect that when a bomb goes off, that it's only their shadow on the wall that's left, when they're vaporized. I thought you might know, because from descriptions, there's a phenomenon that when a bomb goes off,
nuclear shadows. I think I'm just looking it up, so it's just nuclear shadows,
right? And that's kind of what you're seeing, the shadows of things that don't have forms, and they're painted against walls and the floors, and they're almost like echoes of people. And that was not something you guys saw the last time you went through this room.
The shadows do move.
And Fendel says, "Hey, excuse me?"
Yeah, those shadows move and coalesce. Seems to be they favor the wounded.
And Fendel says, "All right, Ike. Something weird going on with those shadows. Keep your eyes open." And Ike says, "Give me something to hit, and I'll hit it."
I mean, I'm not opposed to you hitting one of those shadows.
How big's the room?
You guys, it is large. It was I want to say it was like 60 to 80 feet.
Just shot in the dark. I'm gonna cast Fairy Fire in like the middle.
Go ahead.
Oh, I do. You just have to make a Wisdom saving throw on anything that is there.
Does a 17
It
beat
does.
it? Okay. So you cast Fairy Fire, and you and your squad are set. Well, I guess you guys can all roll if you want to like resist the Fairy Fire effect.
I imagine that he cast
cast
it
it in the
further
middle
into
of
the
the
room.
room. Yeah,
where
it's
we
only
were.
Not on you guys. Okay,
It's
yeah,
only a 20-foot cube.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, no, you guys are good. Yeah, you cast it, and that happens.
Okay.
We just see like a small 20-foot cube fucking electrolyte disco party for a
with,
second, and then
Findle's strobe lights are going off too.
I almost imagine it's like to me, like, I've always imagined Fairy Fire is like this explosion of like glowing confetti around everything. Like that attaches to whatever like is invisible.
It's just constantly falling from that shape.
Right, exactly. And you're like, oh, okay, well, it's like throwing flour on invisible things. That's just me, though. I always
thought of it as like a 1,000 glow sticks exploded at once.
Oh, that's really good too. It's like a weird paint party.
I'm into it.
Your squad gets halfway through the room, and monsters are already pouring through from the bridge, from the portal, and the Tor and Ike and Axel have got this method down for dispatching them. And anyone who survives, you guys are finishing off. Like Findle's casting spells. I imagine you guys are throwing in pot shots here and there as you guys are cutting through these remaining monsters. And you guys get to the bridge room. And across the bridge, actually, perception checks, please.
1.
I rolled a 4.
Okay, so Atlas notices that he is still underground. Rowan, what did you get?
I
bud?
rolled a 19. So it's a 20. Unnatural.
Thank you, Rowan. Welcome to the party, Rowan. Everyone
I
else,
don't remember what my perception bonuses were.
better luck next time. You have this cool thing called a character sheet. In fact, I'm pretty sure all your stats are there.
Yeah, I'm doing it on my phone, and they're not all in one spot like they used to be.
So, by the time you guys get to this bridge, you have a small army behind you from your people coming through the portal and rushing to catch up. And you guys started with maybe 20 people. You've got a good 60 behind you. And across the bridge, Rowan, what you can see is 4 of these monsters heading towards you guys. But in front of this portal, you see a wood elf. And you know this by the color of her skin. And she is wearing armor that is made of wood. It's got, if you've ever seen dragon armor or scale armor where it's scale over scale over scale, she has that but with pieces of bark. And she has long black hair pulled into a single tight braid. Or sorry, not black hair, it's copper hair. And her skin, Rowan, you can see these green flakes and this green energy almost pulsing below her skin, even from where you are. And she is holding a scythe. And this is not a normal scythe. For its primary blade, it has another blade under it. And it is large, especially for her to only be like 5 foot tall. I mean, you're just guessing, but like she's small compared to who you're used to hanging out with. And she is holding the scythe with one hand.
Boys, it looks like we've got trouble on the other side of this.
The view shifts to the battlefield just outside Oxbane, where the monsters are pushing the front line backwards as troops move through the portal.
Sharinga, on your left!
Thanks, Lance. The portal! The right, Lance. We have to get back to Frost and the Architects. They're being overrun.
On it!
This way, boys! Stop! Follow me. We have a portal to defend.
People are always telling me, Scott Chainsaw, Lawful Stupid, that me and Alex are super close. We have so many inside jokes, and they're always wondering about that. They say we're like twins, you know? We even finish each other's
Sandwiches.
I don't get it.
That's not it.
No, that's it.
Yeah, so we're basically like twins. You know who else was twins? Castor and Pollux from Greek myth. They're some of the most famous twins that you ever heard of, and I want to tell you about CastPollux.com.
CastPollux.com is a place that delivers a lot of dice and other cool items. They're very special to me because I got a set of dice. Not only did they send me my dice, they sent my son his own set of dice. Very beautiful set of watermelon colored dice.
Castor and Pollux are members of our Discord family, and being a part of that family, the Lawful Stupid family, they saw the kindness in their hearts to give us a coupon code. So you can go to castpollux.com, get some sweet dice, necklaces, and use a Lawful Stupid to get 15% off.
Get yours today.
I didn't lose Yogg for
I
nothing.
kind of assumed that would
Oh,
be...
in More Than Demons, there's a possessed elf with a scythe. I'm imagining some sort of demonic backup or keeper of the door. It's the doorman.
Does it change anything?
No, but be aware.
And you press forward? Question mark.
I mean, we're not in the front, but yes.
I just meant like you guys are also like holding the key, and so people are somewhat like, you know.
Yeah.
Also, you guys don't have to press forward. You can let them go without you.
Yeah, we'll come back in like a week. And if it's cool.
I just meant like, hey, you guys go clean that up, and then I'll come with the key once you beat up all those bad guys up there.
We'll take the portal out. Just leave it up and running.
Yeah, let's take that.
Yeah, we'll just...
Yeah. So,
Like in like a week.
Ike and Axel, they push forward with these Tor. And you hear this like low laugh coming from this elf. And Axel steps forward and he wrecks these two monsters in front of him. And he brings that hammer down on the bridge, and you watch as stones like fissure upwards, knocking the other two off, like making the bridge a shitty thing to travel across now, but the pathway to this elf and the portal is clear. And these Tor soldiers rush past Axel, who is more or less gloating about his success. And you watch as this elf raises the scythe over her head and makes a cutting motion across. And the Tor that were charging against her fall forward and down and flat. And you watch as energy, Kristoff specifically, Rowan a little bit maybe, gets pulled from them into the blades of the scythe. And she, in one swift motion, kind of arcs it around and points it towards you guys. And you watch as energy bolts fly in your direction. And go ahead and make dexterity saving throws, boys.
23.
16.
And these bolts of energy go past you guys. You all instinctively step out of the way, but you can feel the energy pulsing off of it. And behind you, you watch as half of the army with you begins to shudder and shake. And they transform into smaller versions of these monsters. It's almost like whatever race they are gets mutilated and converted into macabre, gross versions of who they once were. And behind you erupts all-out war. What do you boys want to do?
Findle, we have to get that scythe away from her now.
And Findle says, I couldn't agree more, and rushes forward to back up Ike and Axel.
I'm with them.
Kristoff, you want the old 1-2?
I would like to jump 6, 12, 18 feet into the air. Pop rage mode. Bring Sword Lariat down into the middle of these beasts, or whatever is around, and make that my first attack. If we're doing the dance party battle.
I like what you're doing, but you currently only have one enemy in front of you, and it's the elf, unless you're going to fight backwards in the big mosh pit of violence.
But you know what? Terran do same thing to Wood Elf.
Okay, so you're still a little way from her, so you're going to start crossing the bridge and head...
What's the distance to this bridge? What's the gap?
The bridge is like 120 feet.
Oh, yeah.
You guys are like 30 feet in. The elf's on the other end. You guys want to charge forward and fight, right?
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
You guys rush forward, and Ike and Findle and Axel are in front of you, and you see another beam heading your direction, and it looks like it misses until you see Ike begin to shudder and shake and transform. And this mountainous Goliath begins to mutate, where his skin and his smile once was, a crooked visage forms, and his two arms and fists, which were his favorite weapons, become mutilated skin and bone. And that's where we're gonna end this episode.
We'll see.
I knew it was coming.
I knew the time, but I'm still angry about it.
Next time, It's gonna be combat.
Yes.
It's gonna be old
I don't want it now. This is not how I wanted it.
Combat.
It's not how I want it. Okay, so good news. The strongest man who ever lived, who's the leader of the most elite fighting force in the world, is now presumably even stronger than a monster, and he's against us. So that's great. But we do have a Findle.
That is true.
Right
I
now.
think that
You
even
have
so
so
far.
far.
You also have a dwarf with an artifact weapon.
Oh yeah.
I would have rathered him get hit with the laser beam. Frankly.
It's fair. He is not nearly as effective as
I say this knowing full well that once I say it, it will never happen. I was just waiting for him to die so that he would drop the hammer so I could use catapult on it to hit that elf in the face.
I mean, you can still try to do that, right? Like,
He's got to drop it first.
oh, you can't do it.
Also, love the wooden armor and wooden handled scythe, Dwayne. Is there a particular spell that you might be trying to avoid?
actually, no. But since we're on the end of the episode, I will say that one thing we do at Lawful Stupid is we allow patrons to put items in the game. And that actually is an item
Is it
that
dread?
Dread, yeah.
Dread actually suggested in they had suggested it a while back, and it just wasn't a good time. And thankfully, Devin reached back out and was like reminding everybody. And so, when you guys hear more and more about that weapon, just know that that's a listener addition to the show.
Direct quote from Dwayne. That's a really cool item, but it's way too strong to give to my boys. So he immediately gives it to the enemy. What a bro Dwayne is. Love you
That's
so
right.
much.
Yep, it's super good, and it's super awesome. So yeah, well, no, and there's more to, and without spoilers, there is more to the wooden armor thing.
Is it because it's a wood elf?
Is there a particular spell you're trying to avoid?
I had actually not thought about that. I was just so ingrained in like describing this bark over bark over bark armor that like I was so excited about seeing, because like you don't really ever see that when you see wood armor. It's just like a wooden husk.
Yeah. That's Alex and I's go-to combo. Like, oh shit, they have a really strong weapon. It's a metal. Heat metal. Ow,
Catapult
I drop it.
off the
Great.
bridge.
Catapult into the abyss.
Yeah. No, I didn't actually think about that. I need to like write that down that that's y'all's bag. Hold on.
Yeah.
I always forget until it happens, and I'm like, ah, fuck.
That's only if they have a weapon that's particularly powerful and not them innately. Yeah.
And also made of metal.
That's weird. There's no metal left in the
Oh,
world.
Nobody
it's
uses
gone.
any
All of our
metal.
weapons and stuff are super rare.
Yeah. Thankfully, the shaft of this weapon is wood. Yep.
Yeah.
Check that out. So, boys are in some trouble.
Yeah, not great. Every time we come here, let's stop coming here
After
ever.
we close the door, we burn everything down, get rid of the bridge.
Oxbane is no
What
more.
if we just
Nuke it from orbit.
don't do this anymore?
If you rearrange the letters of
I do-
Oxbane, it spells
well-
Voldemort. Dang it.
Weren't we
Should've.
gonna retire? Didn't we decide that? We were gonna
Live simple
gonna
We're gonna
lives.
take that station we're owed.
go into business. We're gonna go into business making arcane focuses.
Yeah.
That was gonna be
That's
the new
right.
life.
You and sell them to pirates. Yeah, no, I remember that. It was a good
Arrow
plan.
catches. Just a bunch of arrow catches.
Just arrow catches for days.
That's the other item you would make, right? You would make your arcane focuses, and then you would make things to basically counteract them, right? So now you're selling both sides of the military, like, right?
That's where all the money
Who
is.
wants it? Who won't get it? Yeah. On both sides, I agree.
Yeah.
That's literally where all the money is.
Thanks for listening.
Yeah,
Thanks
you
for
all.
listening, everybody.
You're so great.
We appreciate it.
I'm so
Hey,
excited.
join our Discord, iTunes reviews, and we'll be
Go ahead, yeah.
How you know that the Lawful Stupid Boys get tired. The outros fall apart. I was actually going to say go to our website. There's a link to our Discord. There is our store page where you can go and get some of this new sweet character art, and or if you are hashtag Team Alaria, you can go get some Alaria art as well.
Love it.
T-shirts,
Posters, phones, whatever
T-cozies,
you can possibly
I'm pretty
think. It's everything, and I'm pretty sure you could get Firstborn with the tattoos on it.
Is it Ghost that I already bought a
It's
whole
always
bunch
coming
of
up with
them?
new stuff. No,
Yes.
I want to as well. There are also our webcomics there as well. And if you haven't checked out the webcomic, you should. And if you're somebody who likes coloring, like adult coloring and or just coloring in general, maybe your kids need some upgraded
Child
comic
coloring.
books. Yeah. You can get all the webcomics in coloring book form. There's a link right there on our webcomics page, and you just download them right there and then color.
There's also awesome lore that adds to the world that Dwayne wrote, as well as coupon codes to all the amazing partnerships that we built with people who sell nerdy shit that we are into.
That is not Ghost that I also
That
got.
it will definitely be for sure on the website by this airing date. Guaranteed.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, well, we're rolling for humanity again, right, Shane?
Oh, I did it. It's 14.
Nice.
Oh.
I did it while
we
we were
should really
talking.
figure out where that goes to.
Yeah, so our patrons will decide for the month of September where we'll go to. We got a lot of amazing charities that are on the list. They will take a vote. They will put what they want, and then we'll do it. And they'll get all the dollars.
Well, I appreciate you all.
Thank you. We love
Goodbye.
you.
I appreciate you,
Love you,
Dwayne.
Mina.
Yes, I love you.
I'm gonna have the blast word this time.
We are storytellers.
We are creators.
We are gamers.
We are dreamers.
We are players.
We are players.
We are players.
We are DMs.
We are nerdsmith.